Rick Dollar, we are live on location at the beautiful General Francis Marion Inn Hotel. And these guys were out, just playing on the corner. And you were doing a pretty good job, actually.
We were busking.
Busking, okay. And if you don't know who these guys are, this is Flashback.
Yeah.
This is one of the original supergroups of bluegrass. That's what I call you. And, what a lineup, man. Look at these guys. How many years total do we have here in the business?
Over 40.
Not counting you.
Kurt has about 100.
Okay, you're over 40.
Every
33
day,
years. Probably around 40.
Around 30.
Wow. And I'm worried about being 50 next month. Who cares? You know?
50. Take your hat off, show them what your head looks
like. No! we're not going to do that. Well, I guess the first thing we need to talk about is Song of the Mountains. You know, you've got 140 million potential viewers are going to lay eyes on you later. And from the sound check, it's kind of silly for me to even say anything like this, I guess, but you guys can do this in your sleep. And I think it's just, when did you guys know that this was going to work this way in this configuration?
The first practice that we had when we decided to come back to do the 20th anniversary of the Flashback CD that the three of us had cut with JD. We went into Richard's living room, and it was pretty much from the first kickoff.
Just felt like home.
Yeah, it felt like we didn't stop 20 years ago.
And that's the way it should be, I think. I mean, I know a lot of guys, and they tell me basically that same thing. You just know when you walk in a room with a guy if it's going to gel or not.
As a matter of fact, the Song of the Mountains show, the very first one we did as Flashback, was the very first time Stewart ever played on stage with us.
Yeah, I don't know if I interviewed you guys or then or not. I think it was before I came on to do everything with Tim. But but I remember that night. So
we had not rehearsed with him.
That's my
I didn't even know him.
Wow.
Tryout.
What a tryout.
Yeah.
It's like going out on the Opry with four guys you don't know.
Trial by far.
Just see how it works.
It's like a stray dog. You feed them, they don't leave. He ain't left since.
Well, that's good. Hey, you're doing something right,
Yeah.
Nah, I think this is going to be an...
He fit right in, and it's that way every time we hit the stage.
See?
He's a good guy on the stage, and he's a good guy off the stage. I've discovered for myself that it's just as important how you get along off the stage.
I think it's like 80%.
Maybe more so than music.
I've heard that.
You spend more time off the stage than you ever do.
Oh,
sure.
So,
was it? Somebody told me one time that somebody that I would have never known would be that way. I mean, I talk with a lot of upper level musicians like you guys that have been doing this forever. And the cool thing is you're basically saying the same thing. If we can be friends off stage, we got it made up there.
Yeah. He cuts his gig, and these guys all cut their gig,
Yeah.
So the rest of it's where the rubber meets the road, as far as I'm concerned.
You don't have to worry. And we live far enough away from each other that we are still.
You don't get on each other's nerves.
We don't have to feed each other, and there ain't no coming over to watch a ball game.
No, we'd have to really try really hard, a whole lot harder than I aim to.
Something about Stewart too, I'll say, of course, when Kurt mentioned when we first got together and started reapproaching the Flashback thing, about that time JD had decided with his health he was going to just take a break, retire, whatever. So we looked for a banjo player, and when Stewart came, it was immediate. I mean, his timing, his tone, his vocals, it was a no-brainer. So I think out of all the guys we could have ever possibly auditioned, he's probably the best guy we could.
I can't imagine anybody even coming close.
Man, if you mess up tonight, you're a dead.
Yeah, I know it. But I mean,
they're laying it out for you.
They are. Either it's going to be really cool after this, or you're fired.
The funny thing is, we kind of had an idea that we was going to make money doing this.
Yeah.
And then he broke out the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There went all of our profit.
Well, you know, banjo players don't make much money anyway.
Oh, he makes all our money.
He thinks all
We have to pay him extra when he puts the guitar on. It's important
What
to
was the
know
deal with,
he's not a J.D. Crowe clone. We were not looking for
No.
I thought you
somebody
guys
to
had a
play
new
exactly
roadie.
like
Do
J.D.
you have a new roadie?
We have a guy that travels with us sometimes.
No, I mean, I'm talking about when I went out there and John McEwen was plugging all your chords up for you.
Oh, yeah.
That is like the ultimate. Sure. Hey, I'll play your chords in. I thought that was cool. I was like, now, what's the deal here? Is he playing with him tonight? Or are you guys backing him up? Or is he got his own guys?
Richard and Kurt are playing.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
Oh,
do about
cool.
2 or 3
Yeah,
See,
songs.
I mean, that can't be a bad gig either.
No.
Talking about J.D. Crowe and everybody else in this world. Good Lord. I mean, how many records total have you guys put out?
As Flashback?
Yeah.
2.
And then the Flashback CD that we did
Right.
back in '94.
Mm-hmm.
So technically 3, but we're fixing to go in and start on another new one.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. That just talks volumes about how good you do what you do. Because usually if a record starts going down in sales, you know, people say, hey, we have to do something else. You know? But it seems to me that you guys handle everything yourselves. I mean, I think you have a good label behind you. So, you know, that being said, the strength part of it's there, and you've already been down the promotional roads. You know what you need to do and what's good for you and what's not so good for you. So
One thing that we have kind of collectively, the four of us, decided is that we've been at this long enough that we don't really plan to take any of the real low ball, cheap gigs, because
that's right.
once you start that,
Then you're in trouble.
you're in trouble.
You're
you can't
right.
ever put the toothpaste back in the tube. And it's just,
I'll just say this. I worked with a record label last year, and a gentleman came to me and he said, hey, let's grow this label. And I was believing in what he said. But then later on, being in the music business kind of got, I mean, it got real tarnished really quick. And it really hurt to see that.
yep.
And, you know, see, it's an honor to sit down with guys like y'all that have all this knowledge and stuff. And I'm not saying this to make you know, blow your heads up. It's the truth. But when you can see a young performer come out, what do you guys do? Do you rush to them and say, hey, keep going? Or do you say, hey, get a good job? What do you do?
I always tell everybody, I used to teach college.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked at Morehead State University. I was the first director.
Oh, you right there where Raymond McLean
I
was
was
at.
there before him.
Was you really?
Yeah, I was there for 8 years. I'm the one that actually built that program.
Oh, man, that's
And
cool.
then the politics of it all changed, and I had to get out.
Well, you know,
And
we
he
do
came
stuff
on-
at ETSU down in Bristol and
Well,
now in
he
Petersburg.
came from there, you know, and
Yeah.
and the president of the university came from there.
Yeah.
Wayne was there, and
Yeah.
Wayne Andrews,
Right.
and he wanted Raymond there from the day he got there. So my days were kind of numbered when that guy got there, you know. But it was all right. I mean, it
It's
is
like
what-
your ex-wife saying, hey, pool boy's awful cute. You have to go next week.
And that's kind of what happened. That's kind of what happened. I mean, but it's all right. But I mean, when I used to teach this stuff, you know, we had a minor in traditional music there,
Exactly.
and I would always tell the people that were pursuing the minor that they probably ought to have a really, really, really good plan B, C,
Sure.
D, and E.
Exactly.
You know, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
It's the world we
because-
live in.
I mean, Kurt's working and teaching college now and pursuing a master's degree.
Wow. I
I'm
would
in,
never known that. Man.
I'm in 4 different bands and teach and produce records and work for a trucking company as a part-time driver.
No kidding.
Richard cuts trees and does all kinds of arborist work. Stuart's a farmer.
Cattle baron.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got 6 cows.
Yeah.
You always pay him more than you pay her.
Cattle and round rows of
There's no
hay.
money in farming.
Ain't no poor waste to live here, pal.
He's got those big round rolls of hay that look like shredded wheat.
I bet you he kills the side of beef every once in a while.
Hey, you got some in the freezer right now.
Well,
Yeah, but
there
you
go.
know what? Where it's going to stay? His freezer. He
Yeah.
don't bring it out on the road, honey. No.
He'll bring you an apple too. He ain't bringing you a steak.
Oh.
Yeah, he brings it up to do.
Yeah.
He would if we asked him.
Well, it is.
See, it's rough. Now, I see how they're all giving you a hard time, but do y'all travel directly together, or do you come different directions?
Depending upon where the show is, we generally will, most of the time, we do travel a lot together. Sometimes Don will come in separately, sometimes Stuart and Richard will, it just really depends on where the show is.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine all four of you in one bus or one vehicle. Or,
Me and Kurt drove to Connecticut this summer.
oh Lord, how
What
did
a-
that work out?
What a fun time that was.
We're still both
That
breathing
sarcasm,
and
or if he's telling the truth.
Well,
It
take
was
it the way
fun.
you want to take it.
They flew because they
Take it
were
on.
wimps.
Yeah.
The two wimps flew.
Hey,
No, we got.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
hey, while they was getting out of bed,
Yeah.
and Richard was in Knoxville. He was going to Chattanooga and I was going to local home, and they just started, see.
Oh,
And guess what? I came home with all of my money.
We didn't.
Oh, no.
Didn't
Start talking about money, you
We
have
did.
trouble.
But you had a heck of a time, didn't you?
Oh, we had a great time, man. Great time.
16 hours each way, and we only pulled guns, what, 3 times?
Yeah.
Twice.
Good
Knives,
Lord.
knives right a lot, but the guns we kept them kind.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna have some fun tonight. You already know this. There's gonna be a lot of traditional bluegrass fans in here, and there's a lot of younger fans coming in to this show too. A lot of times, that's what the fan base that these guys are telling me is growing with younger people, and we're gonna have that if we're all gonna
Oh yeah.
survive. you
Yeah,
know.
there's no doubt about it.
Sure.
We gotta embrace the youth.
Yeah,
We gotta embrace them and let them have their own ideas.
that's right.
But that doesn't mean I need to do what they do.
No,
See, I need to do what I do and then let them hear what I do, and these guys do the same, and then they'll take little bits and pieces of it.
First time I got really embarrassed by somebody was interviewing Bobby Osborne. Bobby, I love you, but I gotta tell this story, brother. Sat down with him and I said, "What do you think about this new stuff coming out?" He said, "I don't like it." And he turned his head. I mean, it was a live interview. I was like, "Uh-oh, I don't want to make Bobby mad." I said, "Well, you got to understand one thing. When you and Sonny came out, y'all wasn't exactly wearing corner brand bib overalls and, dyed in the wool traditional. I mean, I remember them lamb chops and them red dress jackets.
Instruments.
And I said, you were trying to put your ideas on what you had heard before in your life. And I said, every one of these kids that come out of ETSU, Morehead State, wherever, they're doing the same thing. They want people to turn on the radio and say, that's Flashback, or that's Bobby Osborne, or that's this guy or that guy. Man, there's not a thing wrong with that. But Bobby understood what I was saying. I think he was just yanking my chain.
See, the thing is, though, I mean, we want people to identify us instantly. To
Exactly.
know it's Richard Singer, me singing, and,
That's right.
and know our tones and what we do. But a lot of the times, the stuff gets homogenous.
It
Now
does.
that it's kind of hard to tell it.
Oh,
I don't really often have serious radio,
Mhm.
but when I'll rent something that's got it in there, I'll put it in there and I'm like, I don't know any of this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I have to hear Chris Jones' Truegrass program before
Exactly.
I go any of it. And some of that I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah,
I got to the point, I'm not saying they shouldn't play whatever they want or do whatever they want, but for me, I can't pay a lot of attention to that because I got to work at what I'm doing.
That's right. And I think that's how you know when you're where you need to be. Are you satisfied with what's coming out and what the reaction you're getting from the people that are your fans?
Right.
We just had that discussion today, traveling up here, and Kurt Stewart and I, that's, like we mentioned earlier, we're gonna do a new record, so when you go in and do it, you almost have to think in terms now, what are you gonna be happy with? It really doesn't matter. You can say, I think the radio would like this, I think
Sure.
the public would like that, but at the end of the day, you have to like it.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
if
So
it
you guys
flops both places, you don't want it to flop with you.
No, and it's the whole thing with you guys though is you're at the position in your careers that you don't have to worry about that really. Like you saying, they already know from the first chords you guys hit who this is.
Yeah, we're
What to
easy to
expect.
identify, yeah, that's for sure, and we have our own sound, unique sound, and probably our materials is kind of pretty much within this band. I don't think outside this band you hear a lot of the stuff that we do, or even sort of like it, do you? It's actually kind of unique, really.
See, that's what I'm saying. Had a guy call me one afternoon, and my wife and I had been to Charlotte to see the Eagles, and recommend it if you ever get to go.
Oh, I'd love to see him.
So we sat there for 3 hours, 3 encores, and within the first 2 milliseconds, you knew what they were playing.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was
The
Vince
guy
Gill.
was whining about the food in the green room or something crazy, and I said, "Time out. When you get to there, you holler at me.
Yeah.
Until then, you got a lot more to worry about, pal, than if there's a Diet Coke in there."
Green M&Ms in your bowl.
Exactly. That's not the issue, But
Larry Sparks told me one time when I was producing one of his records, I asked him how he had run across all the great material that he had encountered throughout the course of his career. He's had some big,
I know,
powerful songs, and he said, well, you always need to remember, you need to make your records for you.
That's right.
I'm like, you make them for yourself? He said, yeah. He said, because people like me.
Yeah.
And I like me. So if I make the records I like, they're going to like me too.
That's right.
They're going to like them because I like it.
It's a whole different way of looking at things. I think fear comes into play too. Nobody wants to fail in anything that they do, and that can happen. It is a possibility, but it's highly unlikely with you bunch of guys. I'll put it that way. I think you got that fixed, that part of it. So, well, man, I'm glad you guys sat down with me for a minute. I'll let you go grab a bite to eat. Y'all look like we're about peaking there.
Yeah, I'm
wasting
away to normal.
And if you die first in a plane crash, they're going to eat you.
Shark bait.
And one of these days, I'm going to find out what kind of shampoo he uses, because, man, mine just ain't working.
It all comes from the States.
Yeah, what you tell me about
Ask McCune, he'll tell you.
Mane and tail.
Figure that one out. I think you already know. Oh, God.
Keep it with that.